Welcome back, everyone, again to another prediction show. This time we're looking to the Europa Point Sports Complex in Gibraltar. It's on Sunday night, not Saturday night, so you have to be careful if anyone's looking forward to the return of the body snatcher. He's facing Ebenezer Tetteh. Whyte coming in 30-3, 20 knockouts. All three defeats via knockout. Ebenezer Tetteh had a strange career. He's 23-1, which is a great record on the outset. But again, similar to, it's a bit of a theme of the weekend so far. The only time he's left his native Ghana, he was ironed out in a round by none other than IBF heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois at the Royal Albert Hall. Both guys 36. Dillian Whyte obviously has had his trials and tribulations, shall we say, again in recent years. He came back last time out in Ireland against Christian Hammer, got rid of him in 3 rounds or so. I mean, it is what it is, isn't it, Liam? It's another fight for Dillian on his comeback trail, if we should say that. But yeah, look, they've dragged Ebenezer Tetteh out purely because he fought Daniel Dubois once. He's fought no one else other than Daniel Dubois in his whole career. He's took one step up and he got flattened out in a round. That's just, it's just how it is, isn't it, really?
Mate, it's much of a nothingness. Dubois' fight in the Dublin hotel, also on a Sunday night, could be recorded on a VHS, and we're still waiting to actually be allowed to watch that fight. Wasn't allowed to be on TV. We were all glued to Twitter waiting for one account that said he was in the arena to give us the
teletext.
Yeah, and I still don't think we've actually seen any footage of that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing the stoppage or anything.
Nah, no idea.
As far as we know, he's still banned by British Boxing Board of Control. Look, it's a different situation to Conor Benn, but he's banned by the British Boxing Board of Control. He is absolutely desperate to try and stay relevant. So he knew he'd get an Irish license because he's held one before. He's fought in Gibraltar in the past, so he knew that would be a license he could probably obtain without too many questions from the Povetkin rematch. So He's going back to Gibraltar. He's back on the rock, but it's much of a nothingness. Look, Tetteh's rarely fought outside of Africa. When he came over to the UK, Dubois was WBO European champion, I think he was at the time of that fight. This was, Dubois was 12-0 at the time. No, sorry, WBO International and Commonwealth is what it was for when he fought Dubois. Dubois was 12-0. He was hot at the time. And he got laid out within a round with 2 minutes 10. That's how far that fight went. He got absolutely poleaxed. So it's difficult because on the one hand, what does Dillian Whyte have left to offer? I honestly think Fabio Wardley, he won't fight Fabio Wardley because they work together, but that sort of level of heavyweight is where he's at. Him against Lawrence Okoli would probably be a fight that would capture the imagination, but the reality is Okoli would deal, I believe, with the version of Dillian Whyte we're up to now. I think I said no punches pulled this week. Dillian Whyte's ambitions at the top level of boxing ended that night at Wembley Stadium where he was knocked out, shoved by Tyson Fury on the canvas in 6 rounds. And so then he absolutely pissed it up to Swanee when he failed a drugs test, 2 drugs tests, 8 days out from a rematch with Anthony Joshua, which, if we're honest, the only reason he got the rematch with Anthony Joshua was because of his antics at the end of round 1 of the first fight. Yes. That's why he got that fight. Nothing he's done in his body of work. Let me just put his record up. Look, leading into Fury, he fought once in 2020 during COVID, which was the Povetkin loss. He then fought once again in 2021, which was stopping Povetkin in the rematch. He then fought Fury, came back at the end of 2022, and let's be honest, got lucky against Jermaine Franklin. Franklin, I think I scored that fight level, if I remember rightly. He was very lucky to beat Franklin.
Badly hurt in the last round, if I remember.
Yeah. So looking at the scorecards, 115, 115, 116, 113 times 2. So they were tight on the scorecards in that fight. And then he has failed his drugs test, and now he's fought Christian Hammer, and now he's doing this. I saw something during the week. Dillian Whyte is probably the best propaganda Sky Sports ever did, how they managed to elevate his career, which is...
Yeah, look, he was headlining pay-per-views non-stop. What kind of, he got Oscar Rivas, I'm sure that could have been a pay-per-view. Chisora twice definitely was pay-per-view, wasn't it?
Parker, Chisora, Oscar Rivas were his 3 headline pay-per-views. He headlined the Sky Sports Fight Night at the O2 against Lucas Brown.
Yeah, Povetkin twice with the headliners.
Anthony Joshua, of course, was a pay-per-view the first time. Look, was WBC #1 for over 1,000 days. And we know there was some clever manoeuvring by Team Wilder to make sure Wilder stayed away from Whyte. So the Sky Sports propaganda machine kept rolling. But if we're honest, anytime he steps above European or fringe world level, he's been found out. And yes, he was beating Povetkin 4 rounds to 0 and had him down twice before he got flatlined in the 5th. But the reality is he's got knocked out by every world level fighter he's fought. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Povetkin have all flatlined him. Yes, he's avenged that loss to Povetkin, but let's be really honest. Povetkin looks on his way out in the first fight, landed the punch of his life. In the second fight, he just couldn't find that punch, and Dillian done what he should have done first time rounds. So, look, he's back. It's not something I'm going to watch live. I'll probably watch it Monday morning, if I'm being really honest. And if he can get a British license, give us him against Lawrence Okoli at the O2 or something in the middle of next year. Because that's a good barometer for Okoli more than anything else.
Yeah, I think Dillian Whyte's here for a few more paydays and then ride off into the sunset. He's 36. He's not going to be a world heavyweight champion. That ship sailed. Yeah. This and the Christian Hammer fight are what they are, but he's going to be looking for a big Riyadh season slot for me at some point next year. Yes, no doubt he'll get one.
Yeah, I think Riyadh season slot, or I think the Okoli fight over here is a big enough payday.
Yeah, they could do that on Riyadh season as well.
Yeah, there is a chance. There is a chance we see that on Riyadh. I'm saying over here because it's probably would be a fight. If it's in London, I would go to from a pure personal interest point of view, is wanting to see Okoli up close as a heavyweight. But yeah, it's probably more likely to land on an undercard of a Riyadh season fight, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see promotionally what happens with Whyte. Obviously, he's got his own promotion. It'd be interesting to see if any of them align. It wouldn't surprise me if Ben Shalom jumps on him.
Yeah,
Ben seems to love on this.
Sky Sports will have an interest in him, I think, for sure.
Yeah, and Ben seems to love on jumping on this sort of fighter, if that makes sense. You know, towards the end of their career, similar. Eubanks never failed a drugs test. So I'm not saying they're the same thing, but you get what I'm trying to say. That sort of fighter.
Yeah, look, for me, mate, Dillian Whyte within a few rounds. If not, he's really a shell of the fighter that maybe he thinks he is or was at some point. Ebenezer Tetteh should not be in a ring with Dillian Whyte, just being completely honest. If it goes past 5-6 rounds, there'd be a concern for me there with what on earth Dillian Whyte doing. You remember which version of Daniel Dubois knocked out Ebenezer Tetteh in a round? It wasn't the Daniel Dubois that's in the ring now. It's a Daniel Dubois that was very young and very fragile at that time.
Yeah.
And he dealt with Ebenezer Tetteh. You know, 2019, Daniel Dubois dealt with him. That was probably just prior to the Joe Joyce defeat, was it?
Yeah, it was 2 fights before Joe Joyce.
Yeah, look, so you know that the unraveling was coming before at that point. So yeah, look, for me, Whyte within a few rounds, you know, fair enough if he looks good and it takes 5 or 6 rounds, but you know, for me, if it goes that long, then well, what's he doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, mate, I am in complete and utter agreement. Whyte, with where he is in his career, should be dealing with someone like, any point of his career, fighters like Tetteh, he takes care of quite comfortably. If he still has any desires of trying to kid someone into giving him an opportunity at the big time, he needs to be doing this within the first 3 rounds for me. He took out Christian Hammer. He took out Christian Hammer in 3 rounds. Tetteh is probably 2 runs below that. If this fight's seen round 5, I'll either be turning it off when I do watch it, and then I'll be asking the questions about what is Dillian Whyte actually got left. His weight will tell us a lot. He was very, very, very heavy against Hammer. I mean, that fight got announced on about a week's notice, didn't it? He's actually
it just was randomly, just one day, boom, Dillian Whyte's fighting Hammer. So the pair of us think Dillian will get it done early. Again, as with Liam, I don't have a huge interest in the fight, if I'm being honest. But look, it's on Sunday night, so you know it's one of them things. Boxing's boxing at the end of the day. But yeah, don't want to dwell too much on the negative because what a December we're having. It's been absolutely brilliant. The next fight we'll cover McKenna against Cutler. That's going to be a really fun one. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes for that. Possibly one more. But yeah, cheers, Liam. Good stuff. Dillian Whyte knockout.